Hey, what's up everyone? It's Flame Ace back here with another video. Today we will be doing What If Naruto Had an Ancient Dark Doujutsu and an Unknown Tailed Beast? Part 3. Okay, so we're getting right into this. We'd start our story off around, how can I say? We start our story off 2 weeks from the main canon in Naruto. Or 2 weeks from last episode. With Jiraiya hearing about Naruto, he'd want to be on the way to go and train Naruto. But before they could actually find Naruto, what would happen would be way before Jiraiya could find Naruto, on 1 week later, when Naruto and Sasuke were training rigorously to prepare for that ominous power coming, Rasuri would say, "Naruto, it's come quicker than I expected. It's about to be here." Naruto would say, "What? It hasn't even been 7 weeks yet." Naruto would actually perform basically a small little ritual type thing to give Sasuke his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Naruto would already have an eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, so I don't think he'd suffer from vision loss, because he is half Otsutsuki and half astral. Naruto would actually run some of his chakra, because Otsutsuki chakra is stronger through Sasuke's Sharingan, making basically Sasuke's Sharingan stronger. And his Mangekyo Sharingan wouldn't actually hurt his vision anymore. So yeah, Naruto would be super powerful. He'd be powerful enough to do that. But cutting back, so basically this fight actually happened. Well, not the fight, but I'm thinking of the later part in the story. Rasuri would say that a giant whirlpool of energy is coming. We cut to Naruto seeing a silver-haired man come. This silver-haired man would have white eyes and say, "Hello, Naruto. I've observed you for a while now." As he would say, "My name is Hamura. I am brother of the Sage of Six Paths." Naruto would be shocked out of his mind that he'd be meeting the brother of the Sage of Six Paths. Naruto would then ask, "Excuse me, sir, where is the Sage of Six Paths?" Hamura would then say, "He has deceased." Naruto being sad about that would kind of be sad, but then say, "At least we still have you, Mr. What's your name again?" Hamura Otsutsuki. Naruto would say, "Dang, you look strong. You look like you're about 20 years old." Hamura would say, "That's funny of you humans. I could look 20. I look as if I'm 20 years old, but I'm actually a millennia old." Naruto would be babble-gasted, and so would Sasuke, seeing Hamura and knowing that he's so old. Then what would happen would be Naruto would say, "Okay, Grandpa Hamura." Naruto not being scared. Sasuke would still be kind of shook, because this guy had pale skin and horns and silver hair. Hamura would say, "I appreciate it if you wouldn't call me Grandpa. because if you call me that one more time, then your tongue will be surely sliced out your mouth. Naruto would back off. And then Hamura would say, that's the response that you'd get from my brother, the Sage of Six Paths. I'm not as mean as him, so I don't really care. Well, if you're not that old for yourself, you're like, it's crazy, man. Naruto would just be like flabbergasted at how old this guy was. He'd actually tell Naruto a few stories from the past and about Maya and her rule over all things. Naruto would also tell Hamura about Rasori. Hamura wouldn't know a single thing about Rasori, but Rasori would reveal Naruto's origins and in his own self's origins to Hamura. But he told Hamura not to tell Naruto because Naruto would freak out. So yeah, Hamura would actually decide. He'd say, Naruto, I think your name was, and Sasuke. Yes, Mr. Hamura, sir. You two are going to be my disciples if you're willing to be. Naruto and Sasuke would both be happy and say yes. But then Hamura would say, first things first, and walk over to them, and he'd pour nature chakra into their eyes. He'd pour basically nature and sage chakra into their eyes. Putting both of his hands over their eyes, pouring nature and sage chakra into them. So yeah. After this, he'd basically place his left and right hand on Naruto's left and right shoulders. Then he'd basically say, let's go. Let's go. Well, his their left and right inner shoulders. Then he'd say, let's go. He'd basically pour chakra into their clothes, and then their clothes would actually transform into robes. These robes would be kind of like the Sage of Six Paths robes, except they'd both have hoodie and they'd be shorter. These robes would only go about to their waist, and then it'd stop. This robe would only go about to their waist and then stop, and it didn't have sleeves. And something else would be also these robes would have hoodies on them, and instead they'd basically have twice as many tomoe as the Sage of Six Paths did, or Hagoromo. So yeah. After all this happened, Naruto and Sasuke were shocked. And Hamura would say, it's time for you to train with your chakra weapons. Hamura would actually give both of them orbs, crystal orbs. Hamura would then say, pour your chakra into them. What would happen would be Naruto and Sasuke would both pour chakra into their weapons. Sasuke would get an ordinary katana that was very strong, but Naruto would get actually a giant one-edged sword. It was basically just a giant one-edged sword that was similar to a katana, but the only difference was that this sword would basically have just a katana hilt and it'd be bigger. It'd be about as big as Samehada, and the blade would be all black, having one diamond cut out in the middle. So he'd then say, these are your weapons. So whatever specific type of chakra you flow into these weapons will actually determine on what the weapon's nature is. So, for instance, if you're using a katana like Sasuke's and pour fire chakra into it, you'll get a fire katana. Water and vice versa, you'll get a water katana, and etc., etc. And an earth katana. And for Naruto, your sword is a little different. No matter what type of chakra you throw into it, it's gonna be strong. So yeah, you really can't coat it with any chakra, but it automatically converts chakra into the sword, and this chakra will be super strong, making the sword stronger in some categories than Sasuke. But Sasuke's sword would be more versatile, or more maneuverable. Your sword would have some maneuvering capabilities, but would not be as maneuverable as Sasuke's sword. So yeah, you guys take good care of your chakra weapons. And to stop them, you basically just slide your finger over the on the side of the blade, and then they turn back to orbs. Pretty easy. So yeah, Hamura would also pretty much teach Naruto and Sasuke how to do some types of jutsu. He'd basically also teach Naruto how to do jutsu better, and he'd also teach them very extreme amounts of taijutsu. He'd also teach them Sage Mode. I won't get into the specifics of this, but I will talk about it later, but not right now. So yeah, this would be very strong. This stuff would be very strong. Naruto and Sasuke would be very strong, knowing a lot of things. He'd even teach them a special type of summoning jutsu, only known to Otsutsukis, ancient Otsutsukis. I'm talking way back when the Otsutsuki first became a thing, type ancient. So yeah. And also, what would happen would be Naruto would finally start learning about this stuff. But what would happen would be Rasuri would finally say, Naruto, this is something I've been meaning to tell you. You're not human. Naruto would be like, what? You're actually half of two alien races called the Otsutsukis and the Astrals. What? Then how did I get on Earth? You were sent here so you wouldn't die, Naruto. I'm truly sorry for keeping this from you. Naruto would then say, Rasuri, it's alright, man. I already knew I was adopted, but I didn't know that. What would happen would be, Rasuri would say, Naruto, there are two people I want you to meet. He'd then point to the corner. Not the corner of the place, but he'd then point to a place, and then Naruto would see Rendra and Kaguya come. Rendra is Naruto's astral father, while Kaguya is Naruto's Otsutsuki mom. So yeah, Naruto would actually cry seeing the sight of his parents running up to them. Rendra would actually say, Naruto, I'm going to teach you in the ways of the astral. Kaguya would say, and I'll teach you in the ways of the Otsutsukis. Naruto would actually train in his mindscape like every day with them, training to make the most of his Otsutsuki and astral heritage. So Naruto would learn a lot of Otsutsuki techniques and astral techniques such as flying and etc. Naruto would actually be very skilled. So yeah. Hamura would eventually say, Naruto, Sasuke, I'm actually dying. These are my last moments on Earth. I came here to train you too, so you can both be the new protectors of the world. In case Maya, aka Kaguya in this world, ever comes back, or anyone evil, you can stop them. Make that promise for me. Naruto and Sasuke will both make the promise. Then Hamura would say, it's time to give you the last of my chakra. Hamura would bite both of his thumbs, rubbing it into both Naruto and Sasuke's forehead, getting blood on their foreheads. The blood would actually sink into their heads, basically making them way stronger. It basically awakened Naruto's astral and Otsutsuki genes, making him stronger. It basically makes Sasuke a 15th Otsutsuki. So yeah, Sasuke would be way powerful than in canon at this point already. So yeah, Sasuke would be very powerful at this moment. Hamura would then say, Sasuke, I think there's someone I want you to meet. Hamura would then introduce Isobu to Sasuke. I've been taking care of Isobu, so I wanted to know, can you take care of Isobu after my death? Sasuke would say, yes, Hamura sensei. Now there's one last thing before I die. What would happen would be Isobu would actually be kind of not sealed into Sasuke, but he'd be linked, like how Rasori was linked with Naruto. So yes, what they'd do was they'd basically just link Isobu and Sasuke together. So yeah. Hamura would then say, now there's one last thing to do. Putting both of his hands over their eyes and putting all of his chakra in one burst into their eyes. Sasuke from this would unlock the Rinnegan, but this Rinnegan was different. It was still a Tomoe Rinnegan, but he'd have a Tomoe Rinnegan in both eyes, and this Rinnegan would have all the powers of his Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. So yes, this would still be very strong. So what Naruto would do is he'd basically kind of just how do you say? His Otsutsuki genes would become stronger, and so would his astral genes from the burst of all his chakra. Basically just making his own doujutsu stronger, and Sasuke's Rinnegan in both eyes would be activatable and deactivatable. So yeah, this would mean he'd be very strong. Very, very, very strong. But yeah, they'd both be strong, wearing their new robes, and they'd be very strong, as I said. And yeah, so what would happen after this is that Isobu and Sasuke would actually gain a very strong relationship, being close friends, bonding over the fact that they didn't have fathers, because Fugaku actually was slaughtered in the Uchiha massacre, and like I said, Hagoromo was deceased. So they'd be very, very nice to each other, healing the scars that were once there, or healing the wounds that were once there, but you can never heal a scar. You can never heal a scar, but you can ease it. So yeah. With all this stuff happening, they'd basically bond, and Jiraiya would eventually make it back to the Leaf, requesting an audience with the 4th Hokage, requesting an audience with Minato and Naruto. Naruto would bring Sasuke, and Jiraiya would ask if he could train Naruto. Minato said, "I don't mind, but that's up to my son." Jiraiya would say, "Naruto, do you want to train with the legendary Toad Sanin? I heard that it was your dream to become a Sanin." Naruto would say, "It's not my dream to become a Sanin anymore. It's my dream to become the Sage of 12 Paths." So, yes. In this timeline in the future, I'm going to have Naruto and Sasuke be the Sage of 12 Paths. But enough of the future and blah, 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 stuffity stuff. So what would happen would be Naruto would bring Tenten and Sasuke, saying, asking, Jiraiya would ask Naruto, does he want to train with the legendary Toad Sanin? Because Minato would say, "Oh yeah, it was Naruto's dream to become a Sanin." And yeah, Naruto would say, "I don't want to be a Sanin anymore. I want to be the Sage of 12 Paths," under his breath. But he wouldn't say it out loud. So yeah. And also, Hamura made Naruto and Sasuke basically promise that they wouldn't tell anyone about Isobu or anything else. So yeah, Jiraiya would say, "Do you want me to train you guys?" Naruto would say, "Okay." Jiraiya would actually take them out to, Naruto would say, "Okay, as long as I get to bring my friends." Jiraiya would say, "Sorry, but you can't bring your friends." "Why?" Naruto would say, "Why?" Jiraiya would say, "Kid, your friends aren't strong enough." Naruto would say, "Okay, if both of my friends, not me, can beat you in a spar, then they're allowed to come. Okay, do you agree with that? And if I lose, it's just me going." So Naruto and Tenten would be like, "We didn't agree to this." Naruto would be like, "Too bad." So basically, they'd fight Jiraiya, and they wouldn't win, but they do a pretty good job. Well, Sasuke would have won, but he was holding back because he didn't want Jiraiya to see his true power. He neither wanted to see... Minato knew about Sasuke and Naruto's true power. He didn't know about Hamura, but he did know that they held tremendous power. So, yeah. They'd basically be like, "Oh, no, blah, 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 blah." And, basically Naruto would say, "Oh, come in, Gaara." Gaara would actually come in through the building holding and on his forehead, his kanji will change color sometimes. This kanji would stand for peace. So, yeah. Basically, what would happen would be Naruto would be friends with Gaara, and Gaara would actually stay in the leaf for a while. So, yeah. Since all that happened, Naruto would stay in the leaf for a while. Gaara would stay in the leaf for a while and he'd say, "Gaara, come in." Gaara would say, "Hello, Naruto. Hello, Sasuke. Hello, Miss Tenten. Hello, Sasuke-san. Hello, Tenten. Hello, Tenten-san. Hello, Naruto-san." Naruto would say, "Chill out, man. We're the same age. We're the same people. And you're pretty strong yourself, so we don't really have to go by anything that strong, by anything that bad, by anything, I guess you could say." Okay, Naruto-kun. But, yeah. With all of this, Gaara would, actually, he'd be a good person now. And he'd actually be, a temporary person for a Team 7. He'd actually be, Team 7 wasn't really a real thing right now. They didn't really have missions for a while. But he would be a part of Team 7, or he would be a part of the old Well, he's just a part of the gang now, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah. Jiraiya would say another friend, I guess, while he was still sparring with Sasuke and Tenten. So, and then he'd say, okay, you all pass, we're all going. So then he'd basically take the group and be like, I was only supposed to train one kid. I was only supposed to train one kid, not 3. So yeah, not 4. I got this Naruto kid, this Sasuke kid, this Gaara kid, and this Tenten girl. So basically, they went on a training journey. He'd basically teach more things to actually Gaara and Tenten. Teaching them the summoning jutsu, he'd actually say, I want you guys to learn the Rasengan. I want you, Tenten, to learn the Rasengan, being Uzumaki and all. I want you to know it too, Naruto. Naruto would say, oh, I already know the Rasengan. Put his hand up and say, okay, then let me see you spin a Rasengan. Naruto said, who said anything about me having to spin a Rasengan? Naruto would just put his hand out and create a Rasengan without even having to spin his chakra. He'd be able to basically mold it so much without even having to spin his own chakra. Sasuke would say, I already know it, Chidori. It's pretty much on the level of a Rasengan, but it's more comfortable for me. Tenten would say, I know how to do the Rasengan as well. But I'm not too good at it, so yes, I need actually a little help with the Rasengan. So yeah, Jiraiya would actually help her with the Rasengan, and he'd help Gaara with more earth manipulation, and actually teach Gaara a sand summoning jutsu. Gaara would actually summon sand crocodiles, while Tenten would learn to summon like a bird, it's like an eagle thing. It's like an eagle, but it's all black. An eagle with the coloration of a crow, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah. With all this going on, it kind of be like, I'm teaching you this and I'm teaching you this. He'd basically teach them summoning jutsu, and this was one of the only jutsus that Tenten actually could really do to. Well, I'm gonna say that Tenten knew the Rasengan, but she didn't really know any real jutsu. She mostly did weapon jutsu, which is pretty fine, because weapon jutsu is a beast if you know how to use it right. Naruto and Sasuke wouldn't need that much training. Neither would Gaara, but Tenten would actually need some physical training. What would happen would be, they went on a training spree, basically training in all things. Naruto and until Jiraiya would say, okay, Naruto, Sasuke, it's time for you to learn the summoning jutsu. Naruto and Sasuke would say, oh, we already know that. Hamura would actually, before, he'd give them the rest of their chakra. So what they do is, Sasuke would say, let's go. Sasuke would say, let's go. Sasuke would say, let's go, sun style, sun turtle. Sasuke would summon an orange sea turtle. It was pretty big. It was a decent size. Jiraiya said, what's a turtle gonna do? Sasuke basically gave the turtle, he'd basically take out a scroll and unseal a giant rod of steel. He'd say, turtle, time for lunch. And then the turtle would basically munch down on all the steel, eating the steel. My turtle can eat steel. He can move at very high speeds. He can also, by shooting out chakra to an extension, fly. So yeah, Naruto would then say, moon summoning jutsu. And then Naruto would basically summon a dog, a black Labrador, to be descriptive. A black Labrador to be like, to be specific. This black Labrador what would happen would be, Jiraiya would say, not as good as Sasuke's, but still good. Naruto then say, what? Okay, let's go, buddy. Naruto would pet his dog, then release the dog. The dog would basically go and the dog would basically just sit down. It basically, I'm sorry I'm saying basically so much, but it'd look up and it opened its mouth and charge a Rasengan and basically spit it out. So Jiraiya would say, this dog can learn the Rasengan? This dog would also know lots of moves, being very obedient and good. This dog would be good at tracking and finding stuff. So yeah. Gaara would like I said, Gaara would summon a sand crocodile. Gaara would actually nickname his crocodile Crocky. I know it's kind of stupid, but roll with it. Naruto would name his dog. Naruto would name his dog Night. And if you're wanting to know the genders, the dog was male. The crocodile was male. The turtle was male. The eagle crow was female. So yes. Sasuke would name his turtle Sky. And Tenten would basically name her Tenten would basically name her eagle. Tenten would basically name her eagle Tenten would name her eagle Air. Air could fly for very long distances, and she was very good at flying. She was very strong, and Air actually had razor sharp talons. So yeah, Air actually had very good striking advantage and all that stuff. And yeah, but yeah, they basically all learned the summoning jutsu besides Naruto and Sasuke, who already knew it. And they'd actually be pretty strong. So what would happen would be Naruto, Sasuke, and Gaara and Tenten would all be basically chilling at this hotel. They got a suite. So Naruto would say, "Hey guys." Naruto would then say, "Hey guys, come check this out." Naruto and them would basically just go and because this was like in a town where there was a lot of technology and stuff. They knew about technology, but they weren't really used to it. Naruto would say, "Hey guys, come look at the TV." And they were watching TV. They actually watched the movie. Gaara would ask, "What do you want to watch?" "What do you want to watch?" And Sasuke would say, "Let's watch something action." Tenten would say, "Romance." Naruto would say, "Yeah, I feel like an action romance would be good." They all watched an action romance movie, so then they were kind of happy. Naruto would say, "I can't believe it. I can't believe he got out of the I can't believe he got out of there alive. 10-10 would say, I can't believe he ended up with the girl. I was just joking when I said I thought that would happen. Yay! Gara would be like, I like this movie. And Sasuke would be like, yeah, this movie was pretty good. A lot of action, a lot of romance, a perfect balance. So then what would happen would be, Naruto would hear a knock at the door. Going to check out the door, Naruto would then basically just go to the door and be like, hello, who's there? He'd open the door to see Itachi and Toby. Naruto would then say, Itachi! Sasuke would also see this from the door and say, Itachi. They both basically chuck out a Rasengan and a Chidori, basically trying to slam it into Itachi. Obito would use Kamui to actually teleport all behind them and put a knife to Tenten's neck, saying that he'd kill her if they went any closer. He'd then basically say, I won't kill you if you come with me. Naruto would then actually send a limbo clone, and a limbo clone from the side would actually sock Obito in the face, making him get away from Tenten. Basically knocking him away from Tenten. He'd say, how did the brat do that? Obito would then see Kamui, then see Naruto's limbo clones. Like I said, when Naruto's limbo clones actually exist on the plane of Kamui. Of course they have physical hits, but they exist on the plane of Kamui. So if Naruto were to make limbo clones and you went into a Kamui, you'd basically be able to see his limbo clones like they were normal. So yeah, Naruto would make limbo clones and actually send them to fight Obito. Obito would use Kamui, then start fighting the limbo clones in the Kamui dimension. Naruto would basically send more limbo clones to the Kamui dimension, basically blocking off Obito's escape through Kamui. So yeah, then Obito would basically phase back into reality, into the spot where he was, running to get Itachi, saying Mangekyo Sharingan. He basically tried to, I'm sorry I'm saying basically so much, but he'd try to fight off Naruto thinking that his thing would work. He then put a genjutsu. He tried to put a genjutsu on them, but Naruto would instantly break out of the genjutsu. Itachi would come from the back, actually using his Sharingan, trying to kill Tenten. But what would happen would be Naruto would actually teleport behind Itachi. He'd quickly open up the window, then kick Itachi out the window. Itachi would basically hold his arms in a cross style, flying out the window, but not getting her damaged that bad. Then he'd basically kick Obito out the window. He'd run out the window, then try to find them, and then, Sasuke jumped out the window too. Gaara, after realizing what's on, he'd basically call on Shikaku and say, Shikaku, let's do this! Naruto would then say, everyone, you ready? It's time for the Tailed Beast finale. Well, what happened would be, they'd basically all summon their Tailed Beast. The Tailed Beast would charge up bombs, while the actual humans would charge up their strongest attacks. Gaara would basically charge up like a sand type thing, a circle of sand. What Naruto would do is Naruto would create a darkness-seeking Rasengan, and then Sasuke would actually throw his Ridori into it, basically making a fire circle. Tenten would take some iron sand and make a Rasengan out of that, throwing it at the thing, making it a normal circle. making just a black steel circle around it. Sasuke's circle would be black fire. Gaara would actually throw some sand into it, making black sand. What they do is that they'd all hold on to the ball, and then they'd basically all raise up their arms. The tailed beast would actually just fire their bijudamas into it. And then they'd all run, each having just barely a grip onto the giant ball. They'd all run, and they'd basically shove the Rasengan into them. What Naruto would do is basically they shove the giant Rasengan, which I dub the tailed beast finale for this ultimate move, and then they'd basically just all shove it into them. What they do is that they'd actually they'd kind of run away because they thought that they were actually gonna kill him, returning to Pain. Pain would say, "You failed to go get those children." Then he would say, "But sir, they all have tailed beast." Then Pain would say, "That's exactly why we're going after them. If they all have tailed beast, then we just take out a bunch of them in one group. So yeah, that's the reason I'm going after those pugs. It's taking 4 tailed beasts in one swipe." Naruto would actually teach Gaara and Sasuke more about how to use the tailed beast, but he wouldn't actually fully give them the whole things because all tailed beasts are different. So yeah, they'd get the tailed beast powers and learn about them. So yeah. So what they do is, well, yeah, and at this moment I forgot to say, Sasuke would put on both of his Rinnegan. Tenten would basically be in her 2 tails cloak. Gaara would be in the I dub 1 tails cloak. The 1 tails cloak. Sasuke would be in a 3 tails cloak with both Rinnegan on. And Sage Mode, but they will only show off Sage Mode for a short while, not wanting to get a lot of attention. Same with Naruto. Naruto would have his darkness doujutsu on. He'd also have Naruto would have his Mangekyo Rinnegan on. He'd also have his other powers on, such as he'd also have other things such as the cloak. But he'd do basically a 25 tails cloak. So yeah, add up the math and you get a very giant amount of tailed beast. You get 3 tails. 25 plus 3 equals 28. Plus 2 equals 30. Then plus 1 equals 31. So you got a 31 type tailed beast on that mic. Just going crazy as all heck. So yeah, this would be pretty crazy. Then they would be very strong at this. So yeah, Naruto would get back to Jiraiya, telling him about everything that happened, and Naruto would actually bump up his training. So that training reserve that they used in the 4th grade ninja war would be used earlier on in the normal arc. So what they'd do was they'd use that training place for all of them, and they'd train. So yeah, they'd be very, 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 very strong. So they would get back to Jiraiya, and Naruto would say, "Jiraiya-sensei, the Akatsuki attacked us." Jiraiya would say, "What? what happened to Mari and Sasuke, and you too, Naruto, they'd basically give him the story about how they came to the apartment and attacked him. What would happen would be, I'm gonna say that they rented out an apartment, because where are they gonna stay on a training journey? So yeah, that is going to be the end of part 3 of What If Naruto Had an Ancient Dark Doujutsu and an Unknown Tailed Beast. So yeah, guys, tell me, comment down below and don't like and subscribe, or you don't have to if you don't want to. Dang, I'm messing up a lot today. But I want you guys to comment and tell me what I could do better with the series and ideas for the series in general. And just tell me ideas for other series and this series if you want to. So yeah, I greatly appreciate it if you liked, but yeah, you don't have to. I don't need that, yo. So thanks, guys. Make sure to take your daily dose of geek and anime. And this is Flame Ace signing out. Bye, guys.